Hello everybody, this is Con on the Road. So here in Malaysia, election season should be thereabouts around the corner, even though Parliament has yet to be dissolved. But we all know that GE14 is going to be happening sometime soon lah. Okay, sometime within this next few months, and it is once campaign season has started, all the political parties are going to be rolling out their manifestos, giving all tons of empty promises, telling us what they want to do, what they don't want to do, and what they're going to hapuskan and all that. I don't profess any loyalties to either side of the political divide, simply because I don't owe either side any political loyalty or what, because at the end of the day, we must remember these guys, when you elect them, they are going to be government servants, they are going to be public servants. So if anything, they should be loyal to us, the people. But we are digressing from the point that I'm trying to make. Here's what I'm going to propose. Whichever side, okay, whether it's Barisan or Pakatan, if in your manifesto you pledge to do away with speed limits on the road, right, my vote is going to go to you. Barisan or Pakatan, I'll vote for you if you put in your manifesto in writing that speed limits are going to go, and I have a good reason for that. So it's not that I'm advocating speeding, far from it. But you see, the whole thing about speed limits, okay, is that you drive along a stretch of road, you see that sign says the speed limit is 80 or 90 or 100, 110, okay? It creates the mindset amongst many drivers there, okay? So I'm driving at these speeds, speed limit 80, I stay on the slow side of 80, I'm safe, I stay on the fast side. When you go beyond 80, it gets dangerous. But that is naturally not correct, because at any given road, okay, at any given time, the safe speed, okay, to drive varies due to various conditions, weather, lighting, even the condition of your car, your own driving skill, your concentration levels, and all that, right? All these affect your what really is a safe speed for you to travel. And to set an arbitrary number, okay, that this stretch of road 60 is the speed limit, 70 is the speed limit, does not make sense to me at all. So when you take away that arbitrary number that you post on that signboard there, what you do is you give back the responsibility of determining a safe and reasonable speed back to the driver. So that driver, every driver that drives past that stretch of road, right, has that personal responsibility to decide for himself or herself what is the speed, what is the safe speed to travel based on all surrounding conditions. You see, once you hand that responsibility back to the driver, right, the driver now has ownership in the situation, and naturally he or she would now then be more attentive toward things, because right, it's no longer, the fellow can no longer say that, okay, I follow the speed limit, I abdicate all other responsibilities. No. So when you give that ownership of responsibility back to the driver, you give that driver that added onus to be safer and more responsible. Okay, that's one. So when it comes to talking about doing away with speed limits, right, naturally the conversation always will steer to the German autobahns, and the records show consistently that the German autobahns are always one of the safest highways you will get anywhere around the world. And despite much of the German autobahn, okay, is de-restricted. Some stretches have strictly enforced speed limits, but a significant portion of the German autobahn is de-restricted. So you can basically drive on the German autobahn as fast as your car or traffic conditions would allow. Okay, now then the argument from some parties will say that but Malaysians are not at that level, at that level of mentality yet. And fair enough, that is true. You see, when I drove on the Autobahn, I think 2 or 3 years ago, okay, I was barreling down the Autobahn at consistently doing 200 kilometers per hour. I was barreling down, and one of the things that I observed was that even though I was traveling on the fast lane doing 200 kilometers per hour, right, the fella in the middle lane, seeing my car approach, right, he would from far, right, before I even reach within 50 meters of him or her, right, the car in the middle lane would have moved aside to the slow lane. Okay, that gives both cars breathing room, you know, then so that, you know, we have a fair amount of distance between each other. Same thing when I'm driving, say, you know, when I approach a interchange, okay, a highway exit, you would notice that, you know, as the road in front merges, as a side road comes in and merge with the highway, right, you will notice that from afar, the car in the slow lane would move to the middle lane so that cars coming into the highway have plenty of room to merge into the highway. Okay, so it all points to a mentality that the German drivers on the Autobahn, okay, they are very alert, very proactive of their surroundings, and therefore they take, you know, they observe cars far ahead and they observe far behind, and they maneuver themselves to give each other maximum breathing room so that, you know, in case of an emergency, you have plenty of room to avoid and all that. So Malaysian drivers definitely are not at that kind of mentality lah. Okay, in fact, when we see merging road here, everybody want to squeeze in and try to force themselves ahead. So that is the argument that people say maybe Malaysia is not ready for that kind. Malaysian drivers are not ready for that kind of traffic rule where, you know, your speed is de-restricted. But here's the thing: what if we got the cause and effect, the balik? What if maybe it's because maybe the German drivers are as careful and as alert as they are because the German autobahns are de-restricted? Okay, because think about it. When you are driving on roads, right, and you know anytime somebody can come and chuchok your backside at 200 kilometers per hour, wouldn't you be more alert as to what's coming up behind you? Wouldn't you be more hesitant, okay, to do funny things like, you know, reversing, right, when you miss a highway exit, or suddenly slowing down when you see an obstacle ahead, or, you know, hogging the middle lane at 80 kilometers per hour? When you know anytime cars are coming at your back, right, from 200 or 300 kilometers per hour, I bet you will learn to be more alert and attentive to what's coming behind you. But then of course, I hear some of you argue, say, look, if you allow everybody to drive at unrestricted speeds, there will be more fatal collisions on the road. But look, let's put it this way: you put your AES, you put your police roadblock, you do your OPSICAP and all that, people are still dying on the road. So why not try a different approach? And just to share with you one more story, okay, once upon a time, a number of years back, I was driving at about 200 kilometers on an empty highway, okay, and my phone was paired to the car's Bluetooth, and suddenly a call came, okay, so I answered the call, and very naturally, right, as I answered the call, even with my both hands on the steering wheel, right, naturally my speed came down from 200 down all the way to about 110, 120, and just kept slowing down until I reached about 90, and I moved aside to the slow lane. It is impossible to sustain high speeds without maintaining a certain level of concentration. Impossible to achieve and maintain speeds such as 150, 160, 170 kilometers per hour. It requires an amazing level of focus from the driver. Our national speed limit is 110 kilometers per hour. Most cars today are able to sustain that kind of speed, right, with 2,000, maybe even less RPMs. So you see, you're talking your national speed limit on a highway, on a massive 3-lane highway, can be sustained by just the engine operating only at a third or a quarter of its full performance potential. Just think about it. And I'm sure those of you who have driven often enough, right? It is actually when the road is wide and open enough, right? 110 kilometers per hour is extremely easy to exceed. Okay, so as a law-abiding citizen, okay, let's say like you are driving a 200 horsepower car, 300 horsepower car, you obey the law, you don't want to exceed the speed limit. So what happens is that, right, during your whole drive, let's say from KL to Penang, all your concentration is focused on maintaining your speed, okay, below a certain level. So a big portion of your concentration is just focusing on not exceeding the speed limit, when instead it could have been focused on, you know, observing your surrounding cars on the road, observing for, you know, obstacles, potential hazards, and all that. That effort needed to ensure your car does not exceed the speed limit takes away your concentration that could have been better put on other matters, you know, around your driving. And it is also extremely tiring, okay, when you are restricted to travel at a certain speed. And the other thing is, right, traveling at restricted speeds for a prolonged distance is extremely tiring. I'll give you two examples. I have driven long distance drives once in Australia and the second occasion in Germany. Okay, both occasions, right, I drove from point A to point B over from morning to right up to evening. Okay, so in Germany, I can't remember the exact distance, but I can. So it was morning driving up into the evening with some breaks in between. In Germany, right, I was doing 200 kilometers per hour all the way from start to end, maybe at certain stretches slowing down to 110, 130 like that. Whereas in Australia, my cruise control was permanently set at 100 kilometers per hour. And I can tell you, right, the difference in the overall experience was very, very, very stark. When I was driving in Australia from Melbourne to Canberra, stuck at 100 kilometers per hour, when I reached my destination, right, I was fucking dead tired, like totally worn out. But whereas when I was doing the Autobahn in Germany, morning to evening, driving whole day, right, I reached my destination fully, you know, fresh, awake, and without feeling any you know, stress or any fatigue, because I was freed from the burden of having to constantly monitor my speed on the speedometer, when instead my concentration should have been on the road, okay, looking at all the cars surrounding me, you know, potential hazards, and adjusting my speed instinctively based on all the surrounding factors. So that's my election wish list for GE14. You can keep the toll booths, you can keep the GST, okay? I am happy with the fuel prices as it is, but please, I don't care Barisan or Pakatan, if you want my vote, hapuskan the speed limits. That's all from me, okay? Until my next video, thanks for watching, bye for now.